is sensational for Cincinnati. Mitch Hildebrand, the hero, and the underdogs have prevailed once again.
I would like to present the USL Regular Season Championship to FC Cincinnati. Congratulations to the players, the staff, and most importantly, the fans on a record-breaking season. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for your regular season champions, FC Cincinnati.
In a foot race, Cincinnati plays this across. Vasquez with the finish. Brandon Vasquez gives Cincinnati the 2-1 lead. A late breakdown by Red Bull.
Well, Dylan Nealis gets beaten, and nobody covers the streaking run. Unbelievable.
L'Oreal got under that. Oh! What a goal for FC Cincinnati! You couldn't dream that any better. Goal of the tournament. Maybe the history of the tournament. Alvaro Barreal makes it 2-0.
They have done it. Cincinnati, your 2023 Supporters Shield winners. A first trophy in their MLS era, and now they celebrate. Top of the Supporters Shield race since May. They never look back. And now a piece of silverware to show for it.
They've gone for the long-range efforts. My word! That is spectacular! That is a goal to savour for a lifetime! An I was there type goal! Look at Orishano with an iconic strike at TQL Stadium.
CF Montreal just go to sleep when the ball goes. His whistle dead, and Orishano just takes a peek, looks up, and doesn't even need to touch the ball. And how about this technique? Just absolutely perfect.
Lifted into the penalty area. That's Bauer, and that's Will. That's saved, and that's Surridge, and he still saves it on the line. Look at 60 seconds for Roman Celentano.
A double save, and he knows everything about it as well. First the punch, but then he gets back to his line. That is sensational, because he goes low for that first one, but look at him get up again.
Rajano gets the cross away. Bicycle kick! Wow! A top-class finish for Kevin.
The Flyin Lion says,
boys, hell is real.
2023 Supporter Shield champs.
So glad that I can be back with people who know that it's a Flyin Lion.
It shows how much we all love this club.
Yeah, just a fan of the sport, you know.
It's definitely tougher to be an academy player than it is a pro.
In this club, you don't play just for the club. You play for the club. I'm here for the fans.
What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Thanks, everyone, for joining us.
What's going on, guys?
Welcome back, everyone. Another live edition of the Flyin Lion Podcast on an unfortunate week for FC Cincinnati. Bad loss on Sunday Night Soccer against Toronto FC. We're going to break down everything from this match and what it means and what the Garys can look forward to for this week. We got a big match coming up on Thursday, Sam, but how we feeling?
Yeah, I would argue two big matches because we gotta get our mojo back. Gotta get that momentum back in both competitions. But yeah, obviously, we're seeing a lot of the same from last year, and we'll touch on kind of what needs to change, what's going to change, hopefully. But yeah, obviously, bad taste in our mouth. Never want to lose it at home.
Yeah, I mean, that was just a hard match to watch. It's going to be a hard match to break down. But more importantly, like, kind of stay for, again, what this means and what our thoughts are about this and what it can look like moving forward. Because I think this team's got a lot more in them. It's just hard because we've seen a regurgitated team from, 2025, and already we're seeing a lot of the same things. So we'll touch on that. Second part of the episode, we'll go into a little bit of FC Cincinnati news as we had some official signings, ones that we had been hearing about for a little bit that finally got announced. Some other news around Cincinnati in relation to soccer as well in the World Cup. So stay tuned for that. FC Cincinnati too, they had their first match, so we'll break that one down. And then, like Sam mentioned, two big matches, CONCACAF Champions Cup and our game against New England Revolution for match day number 4.
Second match for FCC2.
Second match, yes, good call. But first one for Miazga, so that's what in my eyes that was the first one. Yes, second one for them. So match day 3 against Toronto. Before we roll into that, if you guys want to go and check out our interview from last week, we did have FC Cincinnati's broadcast analyst Kevin McCloskey on just to chat about the season so far, a little bit about the World Cup coming up and his upbringings in soccer. So really cool interview. We really enjoyed that. So go check that out from last week.
Yeah, obviously, hopefully we'll have Kevin on here again. He, texted me afterwards, say he had a great time coming on and enjoyed it, would like to come on again. So be looking to have Kevin on here again soon at some point in the season. But Ryan, let's break down, what was this, Toronto match. I just want to put it out there at the beginning of the podcast. I want to apologize to all the FC Cincinnati fans out there. I want to apologize to Ryan. If you tuned in last week, I might have jinxed this because I laid out the stat that FC Cincinnati had came in to this game against Toronto undefeated under Pat Noonan against them, undefeated since 2021, and also had never conceded at TQL. So
this is what you get for putting it out in the open there.
Sam. Well, you think something's a cool stat and you want to say it, and then as soon as I say it, you're always like, you jinxed this. You jinxed this. You did it again.
Maybe we've just learned to keep that one internal. I think like what's rough is like Toronto was just so bad, to start this season. And you kind of circle the beginning part of this schedule for us. And you just got to say like, all right, we can take care of business. We can get kind of good start to the season going. Sorry about that if you guys could all hear my kids scream in the background there. But yeah, she wasn't happy about the match either. I think that's what she's trying to tell us. But yeah, it's rough to see this happen, especially with how dominant we had been at home against Toronto. It's interesting to kind of see the storylines as we built into this one. Evander was 1 goal away from a Brazilian MLS scoring record. We didn't know kind of his status, his availability for this match. It sounded by the end part of the week, maybe he'd be available in some capacity. We see him as a sub. So we'll kind of touch on that in the lineup here in a second. But let's talk about like all the pregame stuff and everything again, because honestly, Sam, you set the mojo off with giving us the record, in the pregame, but FC Cincinnati changing up the rituals has really kind of set this team back to our old ways in our spoon seasons here, in my opinion. I don't know what we're doing. We still have the shield pull at half field. Maybe somebody complained.
Sword pull. You got the shield and the
What are we doing with sword pull at midfield? Like, put it in front of the Bailey. I've said it before. I'm going to say it again. I'm going to keep saying it. Everyone's going to keep saying it until you put it back. Like, awesome that Miami's undefeated basketball team gets to pull it. Travis Steele, they walk to the end to the Bailey, but nobody's in the pitch view club at the time before the match when they do this. Everybody's in the Bailey. Get everyone going. Get the fans going down there, not at midfield. And then the Castle Commander, Sam, what were your thoughts on seeing that for the first time?
Yeah, I like the graphics. The graphics were cool. Yeah. That's about it. Yeah, it's about as positive as I could spin it on that one. But
I will say the pregame music was good.
Yeah,
we'll touch on the positive things. Like I like the intro videos. They did a nice job with that.
Pyrotechnics are always really good as well. But yeah, I mean, let's fix the sword. Ryan, I don't know if you saw, but to your point, last week or 2 weeks ago, right? I guess last home game, you had put it out, right? It was your card of the week. Hey, let's not do this again. And a lot of people agreed with you. That was one of our like highest rated clips that we had put out that week. And then they do it again. And you get more fans that are like, what are we doing? And then on top of that, I saw on Reddit that some fans are trying to put together a petition to possibly get it moved back in front of the Bailey.
I just wanted to explain, like, we had a good thing going. You mess up the mojo. Now we're losing matches. Like, see a trend there? I don't know. Maybe the players are like, where's the sword pull? Why is it at midfield? No, they're in the tunnel. They're not even out at that time. But Sam, we did have a pretty awesome tifo that was put out by the Forge Cincy. Shout out to them. They always have the best designs around the league. If you guys are watching, you can check it out. The Cincinnati, with each letter, an homage to the different jerseys, from several different seasons there. And all the flags in the Bailey. Like, let's just make this a weekly thing for home matches. I love to see all the flags there. Sam, what was your thought?
Yeah, obviously, I think the flags and incorporating that, I know the Forge really emphasized, hey, we need everybody's help in this one, and they got it right.
Well, and in a different way,
the movement of the flags is really cool. I think that's what, obviously, if you put up a square, right, yeah, you're participating, but being able to wave a flag and make some movement, really make the Bailey look like it's coming alive. I think, I kind of like that.
Also, definitely cool. It's like a yellow wall type thing for Dortmund. They do a lot of flags, with theirs as well. And then the other thing I was going to say about it, the tifo is above where the supporters are. So you are waving a lot of flags, that might be in your line of vision, but otherwise, it's above you. I almost felt like, could we have played the whole match, with this up above? It would have blocked, obviously, the scoreboard view, but it was pretty cool to see. And again, another thing that, should get these guys going in saying, look at this crowd that we have. Look at how fortunate we are to play in one of the best venues across the league, rated by a lot of executives around the league as the best place. We got to defend it. We got to be able to just say this is our advantage. And Sam, the past 2 seasons, it just hasn't been that way since our shield season.
So we got a lot to talk about. So bobblehead, real quick, thoughts on the Evander bobblehead. I thought it was pretty solid. You got it right here for people that are once again tuning in.
Yeah,
not bad.
I can confirm he does have 5 fingers. Sam had put out, I think, before that there's a possibility that he only had 3 or 4. I dig it. I like it. The detail on it is really good.
For the people tuning in live, Ryan, can we do a quick little bobblehead test?
Yeah, it's a pretty solid one. I'm worried that the head is gonna fly off or something when we do it. But yeah, no, pretty solid. This is our second one that we've seen, with Gary being the other one. First 10,000 people, got it. I felt like the number, maybe, I don't know, for Reds games, Sam, don't you feel like the number's a little bit higher compared to the total capacity?
Yeah,
20,000 typically for them, for 44,000 seats.
Yeah, so I mean, but I feel like you shoot for half, right?
Yeah,
or at least close to half. So it makes it exclusive, but also it makes it reachable. But yeah, once again, appreciate FC Cincinnati putting that together, and being able to see Evander on the field for his bobblehead night. But Ryan, let's run through the starting lineup here. Let me get your thoughts going in. So we got Roman, Brian Ramirez, Flores in the back with Miles, Hagelin, and Ender. Pavel Buka, Obi, Dotto once again fills in as the 10 and starts there. And then you get Tom Barlow and Denke up top. Ryan, what were your thoughts?
Almost nailed it. If you guys, again, watched our preview, only person I got different was Flores. I thought Hidebe would start there. But, I had that Obi had been riding some good performances coming into this one. And then we also saw Barlow just, again, working his tail off in the Minnesota match and gets rewarded, with the start. His first one in MLS play. He had one, to start the season for Champions Cup. But yeah, otherwise not surprised, Sam. Would you say? I mean, for everyone that was quote unquote available,
yeah,
the only other difference was Miazga. So
yeah, I put a stat out today on Flores for those who aren't familiar with his game so far this season. He has had now 10.1 clearances per 90, which now leads the MLS. So he's started in 3 of the total 5 matches that FC Cincinnati has played. So he's played a big role next to Miles there, learning from him. And I mean,
is this stat based on his one game though? He's played in multiple matches, but it's been across different competitions.
Yeah. So he's started.
Well, yeah, but I just didn't know if the stat was based on just this one or based on all the matches that he's started.
Well, yeah, it's based off of the 3 MLS matches if he leads the MLS.
But he's not played and started in 3 though for FCC.
Yeah. So Ryan, listen to the stat. Listen to the stat. he has started in 3 out of the last 5 matches total, right?
Total,
He has
correct.
played in 3 MLS games. Of those 3 MLS games, he leads the MLS in clearances per 90.
Okay. I don't remember him playing before.
He got 19 minutes in the first MLS match and 1 minute in the Minnesota match.
Okay. Well, I mean, he's doing something, right? I felt like at times, he wasn't bad, but I don't know. Maybe they saw that let's run something different out instead of Hidebe. Hidebe had a bad match against Minnesota. Still don't know why we signed him back, but that's a different conversation. But yeah, I think in the other conversation was just Giddey and Obi kind of splitting minutes over the first part of the season. We have so many matches between different competitions. So there's going to be a little bit of mixing and matching there, but let's get into this one. It's hard to talk about just because of how brutal some points in this match were. If you enjoy ball and you enjoy free flowing, like this is not the team to watch. The first 20 minutes, like we were trying to get into a groove of things. I want to say the ref kind of slowed some of our groove down. There was an issue, I think, with more heavily called fouls for FCC or against, whatever way you want to look at it. And that kind of ruined a little bit of momentum to start the match. But I think from the beginning whistle, like the message just wasn't clear enough, or maybe the players just weren't motivated enough because it was stagnant, man. I mean, we did have some chances. We'll touch on the Barlow ones here if you want to roll into it. But it just didn't look like a team playing at home, oozing confidence, playing against a lesser opponent on paper. Rough. And what we kind of failed to mention here is the fact that Toronto comes in, they hadn't scored a goal. They lost both of their matches. They don't even have Josh Sargent available. He's not even on the bench.
Not even their best player. Yeah.
So, I mean, they looked like the team that had more confidence and had more chemistry. And I was hearing the stat. I'll pause you on this one.
Go ahead.
7 of their players did not start a match going back to like last, I think, August or July or something like that from what I was hearing. 4 players have been with them. The other 7 have been different. And they looked a lot more confident in what was going on than we did. And our guys have been around for 2 years now.
They definitely brought the physicality to us early and took advantage of the ref not really blowing the whistle for us in a lot of ways. And so they kind of took advantage of that. We're like, oh, okay, like we're just going to be more physical and take it to them. And if FC Cincinnati has, one bad touch, we're going to be able to take advantage of that. And so they were on the counterattack for a lot of this. But to your point, Tom Barlow had a decent bulk of chances in the first half. He had the kind of the block chance, before half. He had, a header chance as well, trying to like head it back into the 6 there. And then had a bad touch in the 29th minute. Just, got a little out in front of him. Good tackle by the defender there.
Do you think this is more on Barlow getting in good positions, or the fact that the defense is so focused on Danke that it opened up chances for Barlow?
I would say both, right? Like you got to give him credit. I mean, he's not just wandering into space; like he's getting into good spaces, and it's because of that, right? So, I would say both on that. But
I would liken his opportunities he had here. Like he works his tail off. We knew this about this player coming in. Historically, Sam, he just hasn't been able to find the net. And I think you see it in the first half. He gets some pretty decent chances. The one where he touches it a little bit long, like should have been a one-touch shot goal,
I think there was a couple scenarios where they could have been just one-touch shot from a couple of players.
But like, again, he was the one that was working. He was the one that found these chances. And I had to go back and look to see, was it more that Danke was attracting, or was it Barlow? And I think Barlow found the better spots. And I don't think Danke really knew where to be, honestly, like in some moments during this match. He's dropping so deep. I'm not going to sneak this too fast because I want to talk about it later. But I just felt like he had a good half, or a decent half for us, Ender being the other player. Roman also just killed it. First half had some really good saves to keep us in it. The one in the 45th plus minute where the guy kind of like sidesteps it to the other player, and you don't really know, is he going to shoot? Is he going to pass it? Roman kind of chooses correctly, goes to the guy, that they pass it to, and makes a really good one-on-one save. Miles has a nice clearance right after that. But Roman, I mean, he's doing the things that he needs to. The goal later on is not on him. But I felt overall, again, like he's making some good saves, but his distribution is still not there.
I got a stat for you later that it would say otherwise in this match. But yeah, as far as the saves, I mean, the past 2 games he's been phenomenal, and it's mistakes that cost you the whether it be the lack of energy, whatever, right? Late in the game, it's happened 2 games in a row. But as we kind of just touch on other moments, throughout the match, Buka, his shot from outside the 18, Ryan, from my angle on the other side, oh my gosh, I thought that was going to be in. Phenomenal save by the keeper. He was also making some pretty decent saves all night for them. But then you get, the Toronto goal, 85th minute, and this FC Cincinnati defense just got caught flat-footed. I don't know if you watched, obviously you watched the replay, but Hagelin is in terrible position. He's trying to get the guy offside, but by the time the ball is already kicked, his momentum is going towards the ball rather than the other way he's supposed to be sprinting. So he's already caught behind and multiple feet.
This moment comes off of Roman gets the ball, he tries to throw it out to Danke. He completely overthrows him and it just goes right back to them. So in that moment where you're recycling and you turn the ball over kind of on that quick turnaround, in this moment, Sam, and late on in the match, Pavel Buka is playing right wing back. He's not played right wing back for this team. I think he pushes up a little far on this one. And I think, honestly, if you look at Richie Laret, he comes at us. Neither Obi or I think it was Giddey, actually, in the time. It was Giddey and then whoever the other midfielder was there. No one steps on the ball, and he plays this ball through behind. And you're right. I think Nick's either trying to draw him off, or honestly, I think he's trying to figure out where Buka is to try to see if he needs to help support out wide. And then he just lets the guy run right behind him, which at the time, like, you're calling or hoping, praying, that it's an offside. But it just was such a fast turnaround that I don't think they really had their shape yet. In credit to Toronto for exploiting that so fast, just because, again, it came off a turnover like that and they just went right back at us.
Yeah, and then obviously after that, the only other chance was the Evander free kick that he kind of skied over the bar there. That was pretty much the only way he contributed to the match. But, Ryan, as far as takeaways from this match, in my mind, plenty of the ball for FC Cincinnati, but didn't really have a lot of danger to show for it. And that's, back-to-back games, like I said, now 14 shots and just 2 on target. So defensively, once again, FC Cincinnati looking solid with Roman in the back, doing their part. But this is the type of match that, last year FC Cincinnati found a way to win with either, a moment that, of quality or luck, right? And right now it's just not hitting this year.
You made a good point. Let me kind of go on a rant here. You said played with plenty of the ball. 57% possession, right, on FOTMob, right? Teams have found out that they can play us where they just allow us to have the ball because they know we can't do anything dangerous with it. And we're going to make turnovers, and they're going to be able to counter, especially when they play at TQL. I mean, you could tell early on in the match that Toronto was playing just to kind of time waste for a while. Did you notice that? I mean, the keeper was taking their time. Their throw-ins, they were taking their time. I mean, they know how difficult it is to play here, but they found their moment on a quick transition and a turnover. It wasn't any sustained buildup in possession, right? They let us dictate possession. I think, especially going back and looking at Minnesota, we had a pretty decent share of possession for that one as well. 55%, Sam. So teams have said, here, you take the ball, come at us, break us down. We'll counter on you and we'll exploit your defense. And they only needed one in the past 2 matches. And, they've been able to do it. Like you said, the defense has held their own for the most part, but I think it's more on the lack of the offense being able to keep the ball and create dangerous opportunities where they can just sit back and say, hey, let's just come right back into this team. That's my one kind of counterpoint to what you said about that. So I think that was good to bring up. For me, and are you ready for this, Sam? we played scared this match. We played like we didn't want to be there. We played like late on in the match, we had no desire to go and to win it. And who's the killer on the team? Who's the guy that says this is not acceptable? We know Miazga's that guy, but when he's not on there, who's got to be the one that says, all right, this is not good enough. Let's pick it up to another level. And Evander comes in, and that should be your guy. And you just did not see the play elevate. You saw some individual moments, but you did not see the collective kind of be brought up. We lacked any movement on offense, and I'm super sick of seeing our forwards just standing around, where when we're in possession in center backs, left center back, right center back, or on the wings, guys just walking, not even, testing runs behind the defense. And part of that is if Denke's right in front of you and Barlow's right there and they're not making runs behind, it's so easy to defend. They're just going to hold you right to that point. Your wingers are trying to make runs, and we'll put up this graphic about the way that we kind of build out play. We're still trying to find, Ender Long. If you guys look at this graphic, if you're watching, all the play is switched over to him, and that worked well. But what else do we have besides that? Sam, would you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, Ender and Ramirez had great, chances to be able to make something happen there on the wings, but either there was nobody in the 18 or the cross sailed, right? Or, so making the most of those opportunities is just something we're not seeing right now.
Sloppy. You can get into good moments, but then the final ball's got to be there. And how many times have we said that? Yedlin got into a good spot, or Orishano got into a good spot. Engel got into a good spot. We just didn't have the service to Denke. I mean, what are we doing now? The same thing. Yeah. It's the same exact thing from before. I mean, you can put those perfect, cross-field balls in. We saw it against Atlanta. The service was better that match. In this one, we didn't have that.
Well, yeah, so if you want to leap into that, I mean, Denke had one touch inside the box on the night, right? And so shout out to Louro. She had screenshot this from FOTMob, so we found it in the same place. But Ryan, what you're just saying, right? It's not really a striker issue. It's a movement issue. It's a service problem across the board. So Ryan, if you want to break down the heat map for some people, obviously if your number 9 isn't getting into dangerous spots, the whole attack is just disconnected.
Yeah. And so for me, if you guys are looking at this graphic, or even if I describe it to you, like a lot of Denke's heat, in this is around midfield or between the 18 and midfield. It's not around the box. And your number 9, like Sam said, has got to be connected to do something dangerous. And if he's coming back into the midfield to try to get the ball, he's feeling like he's disconnected and not a part of what we want to do. So then he gets discouraged, he gets his head down, and he's not making that darting run into the box to try to score. And that's where you saw Barlow in the first half get way more dangerous opportunities, because I think Denke's just sick of being pressed and hit in the back and just jostled all over the place. Yeah. And I thought that maybe Barlow, maybe Jabari could kind of offload that and it would create more chances for Denke. But
some extent, yeah.
I'm going to be a little harsh on him. The guy has not been consistently a part of the buildup, the match, the getting in dangerous positions. He had one touch in the opposing box, like you said, in 38 touches on the night. I think if I went back and looked at the past couple of matches, he's had 3 or 4 shots total this season. 3 or 4 shots total. One on goal is the one that he scored. And maybe in Minnesota, he had a half blocked one. That was technically a shot on goal. But let's be honest. Yeah. He's not been dangerous, and it's just we haven't been able to unlock it. So is that part on him? Is it on the offense? Is on the game scheme? I think it's a little bit of both.
Yeah, we'll touch on that here in a couple seconds here, but just to round off the stats and the facts. So once again, FC Cincinnati had the upper leg as far as the XG goes too. I mean, we had 0.99 XG, which is expected goals, and Toronto's 0.73. So even Toronto scoring a goal, right? We had a higher XG. So if that tells you,
wild, because it didn't feel that way.
Exactly, I know. And then to your point earlier, 6 of our 14 shots were blocked. So it's
get it off quicker.
Yeah, exactly.
One touch shot.
Exactly. Like don't dilly dally.
Solid chance of the night, Sam, like you had the great angle of it, was Buka's shot, and it's outside the 18. He's probably 23 yards out.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, where is the dangerous play in the box? It's so easy for them to sit back and just be like, we'll absorb the pressure and clear.
And the frustration that we're feeling, Pat showed it in his post game, press conference. It was what I think Laurel said about 2 minutes. So she said, the presser ended abruptly. Pat wasn't really just having it tonight. Very short answers. So some quotes from him. Another underwhelming performance. Team's not good enough right now, and that's on him. There's not a lot of ideas, confidence when we have the ball. And then when asked what's not coming together for the offense, he said a lot. We can't really pinpoint one thing. And, it's just an array of things. You can see it, you can feel it. So Ryan, I mean, it's everything you've been saying. And I guess we've all, FC Cincinnati in general, right? All the fans have been saying since last year.
I mean, obviously he's frustrated, and that's to say the least, but you still got to come in and take the heat. You're the manager. And
he did.
He says, like, a lot of this is on me, but we've heard this before. So what's the change? What's the difference? We hear this refresh,
so
over the off season, and we build into the season now, and it's the same thing again. So when are we going to implement these changes?
So you tell me, how does FC Cincinnati fix the offense? What pieces need to change? What pieces can we add that can impact the offense? What are your thoughts on those questions? And then
I'm not going to pretend to be like I can be the person to change
but
everyone, let me preface that everyone online has their own opinion about how they can do this. Ultimately, we have no say on how this is going to happen. But if you ask me, and if I were the coach and this is the way that I would play this team, I honestly would light a fire on some of our players and say, look, if you're not going to work your tail off up there and make movements and make runs that maybe he's directing, they're just not executing, if that's the case, I'd throw in some young guys and say, let's see what you can do. Let's see how hungry you are and see if that sparks some, I don't know if they're going to do this. Again, we're paying Denke a ton of money, but something's got to change. And for me, it's just an effort thing. But it's got to be effort in sustained possession. It's got to be when we are into good, position. Sam, you touched on it earlier on in the episode, making the right pass. Like so many sloppy balls this past game where they were too far away from the guy or too slow. For me, it's got to be quicker. One touch play. Like there's no chemistry up there. That's the thing that you're still trying to find, a year and a half into this 2.0.
You got like you got a little glimpse of it there in the first half. It was like for like 5 minutes.
Ping some balls around.
Less than 5 minutes. It was literally just a couple passes in the middle there with Dotto, Buka, and I think Denke.
You think when he gets the ball, they're so afraid to make mistakes. I feel like sometimes that they just turn and they play it back to either the midfielder next to them or Dotto like turns back and plays it to the defender. I want you to turn on the ball quickly and find that ball through and just play it. Just do it. Don't think about it. Just do it. And I think, I don't know if they're like worried about trying to get it right because they're trying to change up the, the way the offense is. Like at some point, do you think he's just like, go and play? Like just go and trust your instincts. Like just play off of each other.
Football IQ at that point?
It is, but I think a part of it is like, again, you're trying to implement ways of playing and you're maybe thinking about more than just doing it.
Yeah.
So go out, play, and be quick with your actions and be decisive about it. It's too indecisive.
Do we have a formation issue?
Yes, but we don't have the pieces to change it. Teams know how to play us.
Yeah.
Again, I told you guys before, the last several games, they've learned that give FC Cincinnati the ball and they can't break us down. If you see this game, if you're watching and you go, dang, they let Toronto come into their place and beat them, and they had 14 shots and most of them were outside the 18. Shoot, I'm going to sit back and absorb pressure, let them take all the balls, we'll counter and we'll score. We'll be decisive on that. We'll stretch them out. We'll let their wingbacks be super high up and we'll exploit them down the width just like they did. Sorry, I don't want to be negative on this, but it's the same thing. It's over and over and over. So formation-wise, I would love to see wingers. I would love to see Ramirez. I would love to see Ender play higher up. But Sam, who's playing left back and right back for us then? Nobody. We don't have a traditional right back. Alvis Powell, Kyle Smith.
Kyle Smith, yeah.
But at a high talent level, that would be a starter. Ramirez could probably play left back, but I think there's an issue. But we've already put all of our eggs in this basket to try to play this way. Like, let's try to, I guess, make the most of it. But I mean, something's got to change. And whether it's a stern talking to, a players only meeting, you know, as we sometimes hear from the teams, again, let's not overreact. In the title of your graphic, you said, is it time to panic for this team? This is going to be the 4th game of the season coming up on Sunday. You know, we have plenty of time to figure this out. But what makes you feel good about what we saw?
Yeah.
And what makes you think it's any different than what we saw to end 2025? With less talent, too, and less options off the bench. I want to touch on this because you texted me. What did you say when it came down to us needing a goal with 5 or 10 minutes left?
You're going to need to remind me.
You said, what you essentially said is, like, you don't have great options off the bench right now. You don't really have a.
Well, yeah, that was when they put the defenders
winner
on. Yeah, when Hadebe was our late sub, and
that's your late sub after they score, and Mamba Dem comes in too.
Yeah,
but I mean, have they been proven to do anything? No, it's not. I mean, it's just we got to figure out some things, man. I mean, that's clear, but I can't pinpoint it. You gave me my time to tell you what I would do. We'll see what the club does and how they bounce back, because historically, Pat doesn't like to lose multiple games in a row. Like, if you go and look at his 5 seasons with the club, we hardly ever lose 2 games in a row. When's the last time we lost 3 games in a row? Probably, I think the fall of 24 is what I would say.
When Lucho was out for that stretch.
Yeah, I think that was the last time, maybe in, Leagues Cup of last year into the MLS play. But if there's a team that's going to bounce back in the last several seasons, it's going to be this team. So I really feel like Tigres could be a point of, let's get things back on track, and maybe guys play up for that. You saw how Evander played up to when they played CF Montreal. We'll get to that at the end of the episode. That's a little sneak peek there. But I'll roll into our trivia question of the week presented by Goals TV. When was the last time that FC Cincinnati was below 500 in MLS play?
What do you want from me? Do you want a year? You want a month?
Or whichever you can think.
All right, I'm gonna go 2022, and I'm gonna go like at the beginning of the season or near the beginning of the season.
All right, Sam's locking it in. Would love to hear from you guys and what you think, and we'll tell you at the end of the episode. Hey everyone, the Flyin Lion Podcast is your home for FC Cincinnati coverage as a part of the Chatterbox Sports family. We're proud to be a part of a growing network of creators who are building real connections with fans across the region as the game continues to grow and in preparation for the 2026 FIFA World Cup hosted in America.
Yeah, and if you're a local business or a brand looking to reach an audience that's passionate, loyal, and plugged into the city's sports scene, this is the place.
Partnering with us is not just supporting a podcast. You're joining a community that celebrates FC Cincinnati and various other Cincinnati sports teams as well. So reach out through our email, which is Flyin Lion Pod, FLYIN Lion Pod @gmail.com, or direct message us on social media to learn more about sponsorship and partnering options. Thanks again. Thanks again for joining us tonight. We're on the flip side. We're going to talk about more positive things. We're going to get the vibes back and rolling here. But before we do, we're going to roll into some funny cards of the week. Sam, what did you have? We had a lot of options this week.
Oh my gosh, a lot of options. But I'm going to go with, I don't know if you guys saw this, but this happened the other day and it was just wild. But the Campeonato Mineiro final, 23 straight red cards in this match between Cruzeiro and Atletico MG. Towards the end of the match, the Atletico goalkeeper pushed the Cruzeiro player to the ground, planted his knee on the chest of the midfielder, and then this happened after they had collided with him trying to like chase a loose ball, and the keeper was immediately swarmed, and a full-on brawl involving the starting 11 and the bench began. And then you get a record for, probably the Brazilian league. But Ryan, fun fact, the record for most red cards in a senior match is actually 36. And it was issued during a 5th division Argentinian match in 2011. So 23 isn't even close to the record. But for FC Cincinnati context, Alvaro Barreal used to play for Cruzeiro prior to joining Santos down in Brazil. So I even saw one of the players that was injured badly in the brawl even showed up for training today.
It's pretty insane, but like also part of me is like not surprised because Brazilian fans and players are just crazy. But I think I saw
this all happened after the 90. Like this is all extra time. Like
yeah, that's crazy. Can you imagine having to like separate everyone? Not only that, but then like to decide, okay, well,
they ended the game.
Red cards then?
They gave the red cards like after the game, right? So this
they
ended
couldn't follow it all.
No,
like, you have to go back and watch it all and see how the brawl unfolds. And like, all right, let's preface this because brawls in like, I don't know, baseball is like they come out of the dugouts and they look at each other. You know, brawls in football,
Sometimes.
maybe they throw hands some.
Yeah. I would say basketball.
Soccer,
nobody throws hands in basketball.
No, but I mean they were going like studs to the face.
Oh yeah. I think
I saw like Hulk, you know, the player Hulk down there. He was throwing punches to the back of people's heads.
There was a slow-mo of a Superman punch that somebody came in and just, you know,
pretty crazy. I mean, that's insane. I hope we are never involved in anything like that.
The closest thing was actually, you know, the Ray Gaddis incident with Bernadeschi.
Okay, I'm going to say this because I want some fire from this team. Like, I don't want,
I want Ray Gaddis out there.
23 red cards, you know, cleats to the face, but I want somebody to stand up and just be like pissed off.
and that's Reverend Ray.
And that, yeah, right. The least likely guy, you know, to do it. And that was against Toronto. So
yeah. Maybe FC will learn something. You know, they're listening and going, hey, I'm gonna watch that Brazilian match before the game and get me pumped up, you know. But Ryan, like you said, a lot of options. So after you give yours, we'll go through the honorable mentions. But what was your card of the week?
Yeah, my card of the week, 2 former Columbus Crew players, while they were actively involved with playing with the Crew, were betting on matches, Sam. So Yeboah and Derek Jones, the MLS has announced that they have lifetime suspensions because, again, they were betting on matches during the season. We found out about this and kind of made it a card, you know, I think late last year, but officially we get kind of word of things and what was going on. They basically have come out and said that this was kind of based on the fact that there were some interesting yellow cards that were going on with some players. And then interestingly enough, Yeboah was, I believe in China, was playing for a team in China too. And his team also got hit with a suspension and lost some points in the league because they had found that there was some gambling going on there. So this guy does not stop. He kept it going. He thought he could get away with it somewhere else too. But yeah, it had to be Crew players. We all knew that was going to come out at some point. Again, let's shade the fact that, again, these guys, Derek Jones was well respected around the league, actually. Yeboah was newer, but it's insane. I think you're going to hear more and more of this in other leagues as well. But what are your thoughts, Sam?
That's funny that Yeboah goes to China and same tactics, different league, you know, like you said, we heard last year the rumor. It wasn't really a rumor, but they were under investigation, and you know, for it to come to a conclusion, and hey, they're indefinitely suspended from the MLS. Yeah, we obviously don't want that in the game, but in sports right now, there's a lot of hypocrisy. You know, there's a lot of gambling around the game, a lot of professional sports leagues that are partnering with said gambling, you know, entities, and then expecting their players to not be tempted, which I guess, you know, the players just got to be better, right? They just got to be more disciplined, which you could say that, but
didn't we see Class A with the Guardians Cleveland? You know, had a couple for, I think, like intentionally hitting batters as well, and they were like clear as day. You know, that like, all right, why is this guy doing this? You know, so yeah, you're starting to see it come out more. But yeah, huge news. But we had a lot to choose from. So the Atlanta United tifo, their first match of the season, they go to raise up a tifo that says Tata Martino 2.0. Well, it's kind of representative of their season because they could not even get the whole tifo up to show even what was on it. And Atlanta is just down bad this season. I mean, 0-3, lost this game at home to a bunch of teenagers with RSL. I mean, the tifo was brutal. We've seen FC Cincinnati, like with the win, sometimes struggle with the rigging. They nailed this one this week, so it's kind of like perfect. And to think that, Atlanta's hosting this World Cup, having 8 matches there. No, I'm giving them shade for that. That has nothing to do with it. But
I was going to say it happens to the best of us. When we first started out, we were trying to get the rigging system, working and stuff, but they've been doing this for a while, so they should know by now. But yeah, some other honorable mentions, like Ryan had said, we got a lot. So the Orlando social media graphic, if you guys didn't see, NYCFC beat the crap out of Orlando in a baseball stadium, 5-0. And so,
but you wouldn't know what the score was.
Yeah, exactly. Orlando City's social media team decided to scratch out the 5, or at least the whole like score line, right, on the graphic, to not even show it. So very interesting on their part. And then I wanted to throw this in here because you had texted it to me. If you're not familiar, or haven't watched a Real Salt Lake match anytime soon, Lucas Engel's on their team, right? Former FC Cincinnati player. He shaved his head. He is fully embraced. He was kind of losing his hair a little bit last season, so he's fully embraced
his head, but he's got some little hairs that are growing in the middle, though. Like, dude, just commit to the bit. Just go bald. Like, just text Andrew Gutman and be like, "How do I do it?" Because he still has some hair, though. He shaved it. It just doesn't look great. He needs to just shave it all the way off.
Yeah, he'll figure it out. He'll figure it out. But
Engel's doing well there, though, in Real Salt Lake. So good for him.
He's leading the MLS and another stat when I was looking for stuff. But Ryan, going into other FC Cincinnati news, to your point, we get 2 things that we were expecting. Evan Louro.
Can we before we hit Louro, though? We got to do some jersey swaps. I got to ask you what you had for yours this week. There was interesting choices based on the result, obviously. So I want to hear your reasoning here.
Yes. Skipped a section there. Jersey swap of the week for me. I'm going to stick with the goalkeepers on this one. I'm going to go with Roman Celentano. It was one of the few bright spots in the match. He kind of stood on his head for a while, or as long as he could in this match. Toronto had a lot of counterattacking opportunities, so he just got bombarded there at the end of the match. And Roman had 4 great saves. And Ryan, to your point earlier, he had 90% passing accuracy in this one. Surprising. What? I know. No. Yes, accurate passes. He was, I think, like 18 for 20 or something like that.
My guy hit a ball off of I think it was like a free kick straight out of bounds.
Hey, they say stats never lie.
Straight out of bounds, threw the ball past Stanky that led to the goal.
But another stat for you, Roman is actually top 5 in the MLS in goals prevented. So once again, he's a brick wall there for us, and keeping stuff out. He's only let in 2 goals on the year, and you'd argue that they were both not his fault.
Yeah, no, I think Roman's played well in shot saving, but distribution, in my opinion, still needs a little bit of improvement. But you're the goalkeeper, and for what we need him to do, like, he's made some awesome saves this year. So definitely would agree with that. On my side, jersey swap, I kind of flip-flop between 2. I'm going to roll with Miles Robinson. I still feel like this guy has been playing pretty darn well over the past couple of weeks. He's obviously in a World Cup year, so he's really trying to make the U.S. team. But he had I would say, a pretty good kind of like kick out, kind of clearance once Roman made like a half save on one that saved the goal. He had a couple, I think, moments early on where he had to make some recoveries. Again, you saw his speed there too. Again, he's going to be judged as the captain in this match in a losing effort, especially at home, where maybe he needed to be a little bit more vocal and get the guys up. So I could be a little bit critical on him for that. But in terms of his play, you can't question that. And if, you're looking for that leader on the pitch, you got to look at how he's playing. And he's been playing really well for our team. He was one of the bright spots. I think he had a 7.1 on FOTMob, where everyone else was like in the 6s. So not great for everyone else. Pretty solid match for Miles.
Yeah, when you're giving jersey swaps to the defenders, week in, week out, Ryan, give me some goals. I want to give somebody a jersey swap because they scored a goal. So, I mean,
yeah,
it's tough right now, few and far between. But to move on to something that I prematurely moved on to, Evan Louro signed his contract extension again. through June 2027 with an option beyond that. Once again, quietly one of the most important locker room pieces, a reliable number 2 goalkeeper behind Roman Celentano when called upon. And just once again, it secures that stability in the goalkeeper room for, an extra couple years. But Ryan, what were real quick before you on the contract, what are your thoughts on the layout of this, right? Like putting out the suitcase and then the video.
Let's preface with the fact that the day before, the next announcement is Fabian Mrozek signs with FC Cincinnati on loan from Liverpool, right? So our third string goalkeeper occupies an international spot, comes in on a supplemental roster. Pretty good, move that it's not like a main senior roster spot. But again, like kind of what are we doing? And then within the same day, we do a video that kind of sneaks that, okay, there's going to be this big announcement. Is it a player? Is it an agreement of some sort for the stadium? It's our backup keeper now that we have an agreement. It was just a big week for goalkeepers for FC Cincinnati. But yeah, I thought you were going to touch on his nickname. So Beef nickname gets the cheddar this week, with his extension. He deserves it. I think it's good for him. A lot of people online are wondering if this means that Roman is leaving. No. Roman's not going anywhere. I think Louro's happy with where he's at too. He's fighting for some good minutes, but I mean, clearly Roman has shown his quality year after year now. So that's all the news from the goalkeeper room. But we're going to go a little bit into the roster side of thing. The MLS released their general allocation money for roster compliance. FC Cincinnati, Sam, $361,000 available in GAM, 22nd in the MLS. We just don't have a ton of flexibility. I was a little surprised. I felt like we would have honestly more, with the sale of Orishano, with the sale of Barreal. We obviously bring in Brian Ramirez. We bring in Barlow. Like we got to pay some people now on the senior roster spots. But I mean, I'm a little shocked that we only have $361,000. That's not a lot.
No, not at all. So to your point, any big additions later in the season, whether it be, in the summer, it'd have to be in the summer at this point, but
we could still add.
For free agency. Yeah. But as far as like bigger moves, right. Via transfers in the summer is going to have to come there, either trades or once again, moving salary around, rather than spending existing GAM. So trying to pinch the pennies and see if we can make something happen here. But yeah, right now, not looking too good as far as the roster movement that we're able to create.
We've kind of put ourselves in a bind with, big contracts and players that just, haven't hit.
Would you say FC Cincinnati is a little too top heavy right now?
Yeah, we saw it last year. I mean, it kind of limited some of our flexibility. It was amazing, what Albright was able to do in the summer transfer window. But I was waiting for this big loan to come in from the Premier League to be, a position player where, it's one where it doesn't eat a ton of, contract space, but instead we get a third string goalkeeper. So yeah, I mean, we're kind of hurting ourselves in some assets. We talked about it, over and over again about the DP situation with Miles too, and how that's limited us. But I don't know. It was interesting to see that come out, and we'll see kind of how that pans out for the rest of the season. Maybe we're missing something. Maybe they're going to announce more GAM or something after the World Cup. I don't know. I'm being wishful there. But we also had some news about the fact that Leagues Cup again is happening after the World Cup and right after we have our All-Star break. But we're going to be facing some pretty good opponents, Sam, this season.
Yeah. So first ever meetings across the board, which is awesome, right? New faces rather than getting Tigres every year. So we will face off against CF Pachuca, Pumas, and Atlas FC, all at TQL Stadium this summer. So if you have been following along, we were a little worried about, now that Leagues Cup is going to be played in Mexico as well, as far as, those first preliminary, games. What was that going to look like travel-wise for FC Cincinnati? Luckily, all three are going to be at home, which is awesome. So great for our fans also to see new players, from Liga MX in there. So just for some context for those Liga MX clubs to tell you the quality right now. So CF Pachuca They're fourth in Liga MX right now. Pumas is fifth right behind him, and Atlas is seventh. So all of them are, pretty good teams in the top half of their table right there.
We usually get kind of like some weaker opponents mixed in with
Yeah,
that.
these are some strong teams.
We had Monterrey last season. I think we had Juarez. Can't remember the last one that we had, but I'm glad it's not MLS teams. Like that's what they used to do. But all, Liga MX teams, it makes sense. We're getting some of this obviously early on in the season with Champions Cup too, but it's different opponents now. It's good to see these guys come into Cincinnati. I don't think we've had, Pachuca, Pumas, or Atlas, like you had said earlier on in this, but just to see the fan bases and the travel and the support, especially, Sam, right after we have the World Cup. I think there's going to be a very high interest, in soccer. Mexico, as of now, is still hosting World Cup games too. But these guys, and girls, I should say, as well, and kids and everyone who wants to support these teams, they come from all over the U.S. If you talk to them, they have been dying to see their club play, in the U.S. So they will travel around, and I look forward to that because it's always a good atmosphere. We'll see how serious we take it. If you guys saw my predictions for the season, I think we're gonna maybe go for it in Leagues Cup. So interesting that we have some pretty good opponents. But another bit of news just around the Cincinnati soccer circles, we unfortunately, as a city, are not going to be a team base camp for the 2026 FIFA World Cup. This stinks, man. This is unfortunate because we didn't get any matches. I thought we might get some tune-up matches, for teams. We're not even being, a training ground for any of these teams. The closest one is up north for Ecuador in Columbus. But it is ridiculous that the hotel situation, from what Jeff Birding is saying, and private space options for these teams in the hotels is really kind of what limited us, because we have amazing stadium, we have amazing facilities, but we don't have apparently the best options, or they were not given the best options for the hotel situation. So moving forward, I think the consensus was once we get this district built out, we get a hotel that's maybe world-class attached to TQL that, can change things and hopefully get us into the mix, because Sam, the Rugby World Cup is coming and then the Women's World Cup is coming. So I think those are things that we're going to obviously be wanting to be a part of. And it's not great that we're not having any of these teams here. We're going to have some watch parties. Woohoo. Right. But yeah, I'm a little bummed.
Yeah. Obviously you miss out on World Cup match. You miss out on the team base camp, and you also miss out on the Olympics in 28.
Yeah. That's brutal.
So that's three huge chances, for FC Cincinnati and, Cincinnati in general to stake their claim once again, just as a force to be reckoned with in the soccer world. And, we're just not able to do that. So just tough. You see a lot of comments specifically from Crew fans giving us a lot of crap, which warranted, right? Like we would have done the same thing had it been the other way. So like you said, just unfortunate, but is what it is.
Yeah. Again, we'll see what this looks like moving forward. Hoping that we can get our hat in the mix for, maybe All-Star game. I think that's the next big event that we could potentially see once we get the district kind of built out a little bit more. We did get some news about that and maybe possible expansions to the stadium. Real quickly, if I go into that, like we're looking at more premium options for TQL, maybe to add a little bit in terms of our capacity. They're going to integrate the stadium into the district. So a lot of the money that's coming from the state potentially that we kind of vied in for would be going to that. A lot of people wanted it to be for the retractable roof that we had kind of sneaked before. That still is a dream, but not realistic. But yeah, so interesting to see again what this looks moving forward. FC Cincinnati, too, on a different note here, played their second match against Philly's second team. This was up at Subaru Park, I believe, Sam, about an hour or two before the match on Sunday. They lost 1-0, another unfortunate scoreline. Very similar to the first team, just did not really have a lot of offensive chances, only 3 shots. Mrozek, Sam, played 45 minutes. He captained the team. I would love to get a Matt Mrozek FC Cincinnati 2 jersey, just as much as we would have loved to see Haglund's and get that jersey too. I think this is a good point that they would rather to have him play on, more of the natural grass away than on turf, at NKU Stadium. He got a yellow card like 7 minutes into the match, like typical Matt Mrozek fashion. Classic. He's back. I think he just had to get his toes wet and was like, all right, let's get this out of the way. But Sam, with what we see kind of in his rehab stint, if we want to call it, I think at least he comes out of it, hopefully positive, and gets some game minutes. If you guys watched the match, he looked a little bit slow, but he hasn't had really live minutes since September of last year.
Yeah, obviously it's good for him to get out there and treat this like kind of a preseason match, played just 45 like you said. But he's teaching the young bloods out there how it's done. How to assert your dominance. Get a yellow card early, really show them what they're going to be messing with the rest of the match, even though he just plays 45. But I think it rubs off on a guy like Andre Schirilla, right? Schirilla had 13 defensive actions in this one. He was kind of keeping FC Cincinnati afloat the rest of the match. Philly 2 actually scores early, and the rest of the match, obviously they get only 3 shots in this one. So Schirilla's back there doing some work. So cool to see that. But
I still love your shout out about him, at the beginning of the season.
Yeah, it'll happen.
You could see him going up to the first team and getting some
Pat
real,
loves him.
real minutes.
Pat loves him. Yeah. So they'll play New England Revolution, same as FC Cincinnati, but on Sunday. So historically have done well against the Revolution. I think it's like 5 wins to their 3 losses, and then there's some draws in there. So we'll see how they do. Hopefully get their first win of the season.
Yeah, hopefully you can see it. Again, different coach, a lot of different moving parts. You get a center back coming in for the team. You hope that the result could be better too, but it was off a corner. I mean, it was kind of a fluky thing. But so let's roll into it, Sam. We have a match this Thursday, CONCACAF Champions Cup round of 16. We're playing Tigres at 8 p.m. at TQL. Prior to this, obviously we see Alvis and Obi kill it in the first round. They were named to the round 1 best 11. Obi leads the tournament with 5 assists. Can he find the record, Sam? Can he get up to, I think it was 12 that I put out before. Maybe we'll see that. But this one will be very telling about how this team responds, after this match on Sunday. Luckily, we're staying at home for this one. Maybe that helps us in the sense also that Tigres is coming from a nice climate, and it's going to be pretty cold that night too.
Yeah. So to look at kind of last year versus Tigres, we played them in the Champions Cup. And so first match was at TQL like last year. It was 1-1 draw. And then the second was in Monterrey, 3-1 loss there. And we kind of
beat them at home though. It was 1-1. We should have beaten them, is what I said.
Oh yeah. Okay. Sorry. I was like, I didn't hear
we had way more chances.
Yes.
We should have put that one away.
And we actually scored first, and then they scored because they scored on that on the post, right? And it was like a tough header. But yeah. So right now, Tigres is sitting 6th in Liga MX right now. They've actually, but they've lost 3 out of their last 5, right? So it's somewhat promising. However, they're coming off a pretty big win against Monterrey. So we'll see what their roster kind of looks like coming up against FC Cincinnati. But once again, probably FS2, Apple TV, if you want to tune in for that, like Ryan said, 8 p.m. But Ryan, what do you think FCC lineup wise?
Strong. Players are going to get up for this. They understand that this is an important competition. Not that MLS isn't. I mean, we have 34 matches, but like, this is the closest thing that you're going to get to like the end of the season with the cup in terms of importance. League's Cup, in my mind, just not as important, but this is, throughout the region, and to kind of have pride and to say where we stand, against these teams. We've seen us at home be pretty darn good, I would say. Honestly, we should have done better against Monterrey before last year. Again, kind of left thinking like we honestly dictated a lot of the play. I think honestly, again, it comes down to the fact that we're playing them early in the season and in a climate where like we're used to this, I guess, if you want to call it used to this. By now we've played in a few matches in this kind of environment. So that should help us on paper, but the guys got to go out and do it. So to your question about lineup, a strong one. I think you see a lot of maybe what we saw against, I'm going back, probably Atlanta is what I'm going to say. I think Evander probably is going to get the start for this one. And I think you run it back maybe with Jabari just being a little bit more physical. Barlow, starting the last match, and they'll kind of flip-flop. Do you think they roll with Giddey or Obi, Sam, in the midfield?
I'd go. Obi's got 5 assists, right? He's Mr. Champions Cup right now. You got to start Obi. I'm more. What's the back line look like? Because obviously you'll probably have Ramirez out wide with Ender in the middle. Do you go 3 options? You got Hadebe, Flores, or do you go with another Champions Cup best 11? You go with Alvis Powell maybe as center back.
Hadebe didn't look like he had a knock or anything. I think, honestly, they're trying to save some minutes for the back line so they're not getting, too banged up. So I think Hadebe comes in just with his experience. Not that I feel great about that. Miles, obviously, there. And then I would love to have Matt back. He's just not ready. So it's probably Hagelin again. But the message has got to be stronger of, like, I said this early on in the show, if you guys were listening, but you got to get up for this one. You got to understand the moment. And I think a lot of the players really will. I think Evander especially, he kind of rises to the occasion when we play bigger teams. You saw it last year against Miami. You saw it against Monterrey. I really feel like he's going to maybe come out a little bit more hungry in this one too. And how does that kind of echo around the team? Hopefully there's a very stern message after yesterday's match, and that leads to a better result on Thursday.
I think this also has the potential to be a Brian Ramirez match.
Okay.
Either him or Ender could get, a goal contribution to some extent. I could see.
Let's talk about the scenarios of what this looks like. So obviously we have home and away. And if we can get a lead, how valuable is that in the way that we can play down in Tigres, Sam? We saw it last season where we kind of had to force the issue. We get the early goal, in the away leg, but then their depth is a problem. So if you can dominate at home and somehow come out with a result, I'm saying somehow just based on what I saw, just 24 hours ago. But yeah, I really feel like that could be a big decider in us moving forward. We've never passed the round of 16. So something's got to click. Something's got to really set us apart, because depth wise, again, options that Tigre have off the bench versus what we have off the bench right now, like, we're very much apart. But anything can happen in this game.
Yeah. So prediction wise, we
hyped this one up and said anything is possible.
Yeah. All that said, we do have, both of us have a 0-2 prediction in favor of Tigres. I believe we're on the same mindset of thinking that this offense just is not going to be able to produce against Tigres. And if they do, it's by a miracle.
But like at the same setting, like I could just see us somehow, some way just coming out. And if we could find an early goal, like that could change things. I'm not happy about putting that down, but this is what we've seen over the past 2 matches. We've gone 180 minutes without a goal in MLS play. We had 9 goals in, the first CONCACAF. That's
used them all up.
Different.
Yeah.
The casual fan, if you're wondering, again, like different levels to this, completely different environment here. But past that, so Thursday to Sunday, we are going to be playing New England Revolution. Back-to-back Sunday kickoffs. I think we have 3 in March. The kickoff time, you put 2:30 here. I thought it was maybe a little bit earlier, but sometime in the afternoon.
No, yeah, I thought it was 2:30.
Yeah, and I think in this one, we're going up to play them in New England. So for this one, again, at least we are at home. I thought it was
It says on FC Cincinnati's website, it says 2:30.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So again, New England, they sit at 13th in the East. They've conceded 5 goals in 2 matches. They've played Nashville, which have been pretty good. But Sam, what are your thoughts about this match coming up?
I'm just going to say you just jinxed this. How's that? Did you like that? How's that? No. I like our chances a little bit more. To your point, Pat Noonan doesn't lose multiple games in a row. He doesn't. And hopefully that streak continues where we're able to turn something, regardless of what happens on Thursday, right? Can we turn it around and make something happen in MLS play, get back on the right track? And hopefully that's against New England Revolution. So as far as the lineup wise, Ryan, I mean, I think there will be, depending on what happens at Tigres, a slightly maybe rotated lineup. I think you could see Giddey start if he doesn't, in the previous match. And then once again, swapping maybe Barlow for Jabari type situation. I also think you could see a switch with the wingbacks, right? Because I think they're going to be working hard against Tigres. I think you could see either Kyle Smith or Powell start against the New England Revolution there. But what are your kind of thoughts that, maybe I left out?
No, I like that shout a lot. The wingbacks especially going to be working, again, their tails off against Tigres, going back and forth. And again, we're really going for that match. So what does that look like for Sunday? Like, it might be a little bit different in terms of what we roll out, but we're at home. Again, historically, a few seasons ago, 2023 looked really good. Last 2 seasons at home, not so great. Let's try to get back to a better form at home and find a good result. But at the same setting, Sam, like, what do we got to do? Again, we talked about it on offense, but what do you think, like, we could do better with it in terms of getting better opportunities? Do you think, like, free kicks could be a good kind of way to get into that? I know we've been doing a lot of, like, long throws and things like that too.
Yeah.
Do you think that's been...
Some people are taking the long throws that shouldn't be taking the long throws. I don't know if you recall Hidebe's long throw.
Hidebe's was not great. Yeah.
Hardly made it inside the 18.
I never got to hear your opinion. I gave you my whole opinion about the offense part. So I want to hear you and what you have to say, unless you
I mean, as far as the Revolution game goes, I think once again, you got to be more physical. I think it starts with the physicality up front. And that starts within the first, 10, 15 minutes of the match, regardless if you score a goal or not. At least give it to them. Like you said, they're 13th in the East right now, and there's a reason for that, because their quality just isn't as good as ours, and we need to show it, right? We talk about all the time how good this club looks on paper, and yet every time they step on the turf, it just doesn't quite come together like it should. And so, you just got to make the things work, and that starts with Pat implementing stuff in training and being able to bring it into the game, so that way the guys are more confident going into tactics, game plans, and they go, oh, I did see this on film, or I did, this looks familiar to me.
Yeah, okay, I like it. Again, hopefully this changes quickly, because there's not a lot of time, but maybe that's the best thing, because then they don't have too much time to think about it, and they can just go and play. The best way to get it out of your brain is just to go and see if you can just go and play out of it. So maybe that gives them a little bit more freedom in thinking about that. But prediction wise, what are you thinking?
I think 1-0. I think we'll get one here, and we're gonna get one, by the skin of our teeth. But we're gonna get by. We're gonna get 3 points, and we're gonna move on to the next match. Hopefully, once again, next week against Tigres to join that second leg, but we'll get out of it. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I hate my prediction, but 0-0. Like, I just came out of this last game just so bummed about the way we played, and I just don't see it changing with the people that we have, unfortunately. Like, who is going to grab this team and pull us up and out of this? Like, who's that leader? I know the leader, like, the captain's armband says, again, Miles, and his play has dictated that. But, like, somebody's got to just say this is not acceptable. And I just don't enjoy the fact that, like, we are sitting at TQL, and I'm, like, more thinking about, like, other things than the actual match that's going on, because it was that boring. But I just don't see it changing. I think that, unfortunately, just with having Thursday to Sunday, like, with some changes as well, like, we're going to be on some tired legs, and they'll just hold on for a draw. And maybe that's a positive that we're going in the right direction. But again, if you look at this schedule, like Atlanta, I think Minnesota will be okay, but Toronto, New England, Montreal coming up, like, these are games you circle and you go, you got to win these, man, because it's going to hit us hard and heavy, late on in the season. And maybe that's a good thing that we can find our form by then. But if you don't take a advantage of these points. Like we've seen Pat Noonan kind of run through, what would you say, April, May, where we've really kind of set ourselves off in the right direction. And we're just not there, man. And it's unfortunate because we've had a full preseason. We've said we got a new assistant coach. We've said we're going to refresh it. We're going to bring in better wing backs. Like they got to go out and do it now. So show us, make us believe again. Not to say like I'm not believing, but I'm doubting a little bit. And we haven't touched on it, but like, Sam, do you want to talk a little bit about like the hot seat maybe that Pat Noonan might be on or not on?
I had seen that thrown out. I can't remember. I was reading an article today, and I can't remember if it was talking about, a coaching change as far as Pat Noonan goes, or I think somebody in the article was even talking about a coaching change as in like moving Evander or Denke off of the team, right? Because they don't fit the system or whatever. I've also seen a lot of comparisons with, you know what? Evander's not as good as Lucho, and that's it. Which
it comes to a lot of, again, individual ball. Like
yes,
we talked
exactly.
about this before. It's just like these guys have to be so good. And Lucho was that good at leading us that kind of got overshadowed, I guess, in terms of like maybe the strategy. Like he just kind of carried us, and then it wasn't like, okay, well, we're going to analyze the tactics as much. But now that the individuals aren't really producing to that same level, we can go back and look at the coach and be like, well, then the system isn't working.
Well, to reiterate the quote we said earlier from Pat, another underwhelming performance. Team's not good enough right now, and that's on me. So to your point, fix it.
Yeah. Yeah, no, and this is the people you have. So is he on a hot seat? I mean, this whole season's a hot seat. We knew that. Is anything going to happen in the middle of the season? Probably not, unless we dramatically just, lose however many in a row and they crash out of Champions Cup and blah, blah, blah. We're not even going to talk about that. But I think we got to give the guy the benefit of the doubt, but I'm starting to lean more on the side of like, we've kind of seen what this looks like. Can he be flexible? Can he change his thoughts on what we want to do and find this team another gear? In so far this year, it's been no. And it's concerning that you've had this whole preseason, everything lead up to it. Maybe that was based on the way that we were supposed to play with Evander, Sam. I mean, that has to be part of it, but it's got to be a next man up mentality. And if the next man up isn't fitting into that as well and not doing that role, I said it earlier on, is let's look at some youth players. Look at RSL, Sam. Look at New York Red Bulls prior to this one against Montreal that they had this weekend. But 17, 18-year-old players are coming into the league, and they're hungry. They want minutes. They want to show themselves. And we know, like, Pat historically hasn't done that. But, I mean, Ademir Chavez could really kind of prove himself and have something to play for and bust his tail on the pitch. I would love to see something like that. Or Andre Shirilla, take over that starting spot, give him the opportunity, and let's get some new faces in there that can come and, again, play with something and not just they're out collecting checks. Like, I hate to say that, but like at some points last night, it looked like players were just there to get paid. And I hate saying that, but there was no hunger. There was no fight. And at minimum, I want the effort there. So give me a young player in there and let them go and do something.
Last thought. How cool would that be if Ademir Chavez, how much fight do you think he'd have if he goes out there against Tigres?
Oh, I mean, he'd be going full go, but it's just, again, like, is the maturity there? Like, he's a little undersized versus some of the other people we've been talking about, but he's got the talent, and he would probably love to play, against one of the best teams, in Mexico.
Well, he's been playing in the Mexican national team.
I was going to say, he's been dual national with, Mexico and the U.S. So, yeah, we'll see if that comes to fruition. I mean, if you're the manager, though, don't you think you got to send a message to the team and be like, hey, if you're not doing it, like, we're going to look elsewhere. We're going to look at our other guys, and we're going to say, do you want it more than them? I mean, I think at some point you have to.
Yeah.
But as we close this episode out, I'm going to give you guys our trivia question and answer here. So again, the question was, when was the last time that FC Cincinnati was below 500 for the MLS season? And Sam, I think you locked in early on in 2022.
Yeah.
You were correct. So it was actually April 24th of 2022. We played LAFC. We lost that match. And that was the last time that we fell below 500 until this past week, where against Toronto, we lost. We're now, 1-0 and 2 on the season. It hasn't happened for a long time. Again, that's several years. So again, this is not the trend of this team. I feel like in some ways we can bounce back. I hope they are watching this and they see the hunger, the drive that all the fans have. But we're always going to be there, right? This club, they know how to support their team, and we're always going to have their backs. We just want that hunger. We want that effort. We want that drive like we put into recording this episode, to going to the match, supporting you in 20-degree weather. Like, give it back to us. So I hope that they can do that, and hopefully on a positive week next week to talk about as well. But thanks again for joining us tonight.